You know, Family Guy loves a good reference to TV and media, so today we're taking a look at all the characters from other shows that made an appearance on the show, as well as the times Family Guy characters showed up in other shows. Starting with a fellow adult animated show, Futurama. The futuristic comedy from the team behind The Simpsons has been referenced in the show multiple times, usually with a certain robot that wants you to bite a certain shiny metal part of his body.
Tucker heard it from Bender on Futurama, oddly enough, for some reason. Bender heard it from Al Harrington.
I guess you could pretty much consider the alcoholic automaton as the mascot of that show, because he's certainly the one who appears the most in Family Guy. He can first be seen in Season 6's Star Wars parody Blue Harvest, sharing some brewskis with a few aliens, and he later shows up in Season 17's Throw It Away, when Lois accidentally changes the house with Stewie's time machine.
Don't drag that down the stairs, all right?
I'd say getting Bender for Chris would have been a fair trade. They should have at least let him stay for the rest of the episode. We came close to having him in Season 12's Boopity Boppity as well, while avoiding some devastating alternatives.
Stop what you're doing!
Anyone else remember that weird Jonah Hill animated show, Alan Gregory? Consider yourself lucky if you don't, and be thankful that the only reference we got to that show was that little jump scare. And believe it or not, Family Guy's even found a way to sneak itself into the future on a handful of occasions. Peter and Stewie can be seen on a calendar in the TV movie Bender's Big Score, and Fry's dog kinda becomes Brian in order to talk with Fry in the episode Game of Tones.
Does that seem strange to you?
Well, no, not in a dream. Lots of weird stuff could happen.
Philip, have you lost weight?
Like, yeah, Brian isn't physically there, but with the voice of Seth MacFarlane and a dry martini, that's pretty much Brian. MacFarlane would also lend his singing voice to the opening song of the other Futurama TV movie, Into the Wild Green Yonder, which is just proof that Seth's voice will continue to transcend space and time until it's the only thing left in the universe. I guess there could be worse outcomes. And next up is the adult animated show Bob's Burgers, and man, has it been incredibly funny to see Family Guy's stance change on it over time.
He tried to pass this drawing off as his advanced art project.
Oh my.
I'm very embarrassed.
Yeah, so back when Bob's Burgers was the new kid on the Fox adult animation block, Family Guy liked to take the opportunity to haze the newer show with a few jabs and jokes at its expense. At least this kind of hazing doesn't lead to any alcohol poisoning related deaths.
What's he doing here?
Well, we gotta carry him because he can't fly on his own.
But all it takes is winning one little Emmy to make the show change its tune. Well, in Bob's Burgers case, they won two, so that just made Family Guy extra petty.
You have the floor if there's something hilarious you want to say. I'll just sit here and be quiet. Give us 2 Emmys worth of amazing.
Yeah, the show kinda went through every stage of grief possible over this. Here you can see them locked into the anger stage.
Kind of feel like this is less of a crossover and more of a roast.
No, a roast is good-natured.
But eventually they got over the anger stage and finally reached the acceptance stage, even managing to poke fun at themselves.
When's the Emmy winner discount?
Black coffee and toast, please.
It's kind of like when Maverick and Iceman become buddies at the end of Top Gun, no longer viewing themselves as rivals, but as peers. Actually, come to think of it, it might be more like this Mad Men scene with Bob's Burgers being John Hamm.
There's the guy who started after me and was beneath me, but now he's like higher up than I am. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Darren.
And it's probably no surprise that Family Guy would often include cameos and references to its sister show, American Dad.
Things are completely back to normal again. Who ate all the pecan sandies?
But unlike Futurama, American Dad can actually spare a few more characters than just their wacky intergalactic sidekick. American Dad's main character, Stan Smith, actually appears now and then throughout the show.
I'd drop the gun if I were you, Joe.
What? It's Stan.
The team behind the two shows sure does like their interestingly chinned characters. Stan doesn't make as many appearances on the show as Roger does, but it's still a nice treat whenever he does show up.
Conservative republicanism is the answer. Good. Good for Brian.
And sometimes Stan will even bring along the rest of the family for some cameos, like when they briefly moved into Cleveland's old house in Season 11's Big Fat.
Hey, you're not gonna believe this. I'm over here with Joe, and he's got a space alien.
Hey, that's just what he gets for narking. If the Griffins can have a gross creature living in their house, then so can the Smiths. The characters would make on and off again appearances, sometimes as background extras like in Season 17's No Giggity No Doubt, or sometimes with a friendly character trade.
Hey! Shut up, Meg.
Oh, so it's just gonna be the same?
And yes, it does go both ways.
And the #1 dog on my fictitious dog list is Brian Griffin.
Do I know you?
It's kind of an expected thing that if you're an animated show that somehow involves Seth MacFarlane, chances are you're gonna overlap. Do you think we'll ever see a full Border Town crossover, or is that a part of Seth's work he'd rather not remember ever existed?
Looter!
Self-defense!
A black and a white talking as if it's normal.
And we're gonna say that the Cleveland Show technically counts as another adult animated show Family Guy has referenced.
This was worth the 500-mile drive.
Yeah, so from season 8 until season 12, any appearance of Cleveland Brown on the show could technically count as a cameo appearance, even though he popped up so many times that it kinda hardly felt like he left at all.
Hey Cleveland, I just wanted to give you a heads up that Peter has a whip because, well, you know.
We guess in a way you could even say that Family Guy's first crossover episode came from season 8's The Splendid Source, as he was already off doing his own thing when he got roped into this episode.
Now take me back to Virginia so I can put some bacitracin on this and pork my wife.
Of course, by the end of season 12, Cleveland was back in Quahog and the Cleveland Show was no more. At least he took a chance on himself and tried to make it out on his own. How many of you can say that? Where's your spin-off?
Okay, just one. But if it's a gym membership, somebody's getting punched in the face.
And in an act of what many could probably view as charity work, Family Guy characters have made several appearances on The Cleveland Show during its brief run, like being there for a big family wedding and You're the Best Man, Cleveland Brown.
Well, they made it through the whole season. Now can I have my own show, Peter?
Quagmire, you're a
Supporting Cleveland's Bar Crawl fundraiser events in the episode Beer Walk.
Thanks for coming to get drunk for charity, guys.
Yeah, whatever, Fox is paying us.
And our personal favorite, bringing the evil monkey out of retirement to tear apart a bunch of evil rednecks. Now, when's he getting his own spin-off? We think there's a lot of potential for a show that's just waiting to be canceled before the first season ends.
Thanks for your help, monkey. Rip their faces and nuts off.
It sure was nice of them to throw the show a bone or two to help drum up interest, but when your most memorable moments just end up being cameos, that's a tough pill to swallow. Maybe they should have turned a blind eye and given Quagmire the spin-off anyway.
No.
But The Cleveland Show isn't the only adult animated show with close ties to Family Guy, as Robot Chicken has made several appearances over the years, just usually so it can be Family Guy's punching bag.
How's it feel to be on a major network for 30 seconds?
Yo!
Bye!
We're sure Seth Green is a good sport about all the dunking the show does on it, but I'm also sure Seth MacFarlane has to be careful when leaving his drinks around Green. One of these days, a joke is going to lead to a cyanide tablet winding up in his whiskey. But despite using the show as the butt of the joke most of the time, Family Guy slipped its way into Robot Chicken on more than one occasion, like when Peter appears as one of the judges called on to decide if Robot Chicken should be canceled in the episode Suck It.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Oh, you're so friggin' guilty.
And Peter has also appeared in the episode Immortal as a monster in a zoo, parroting the horror movie Cabin in the Woods. He's truly an eldritch horror if I've ever seen one.
They discovered our zoo! You know, our zoo of mythical creatures and monsters and animals that—
Thanks, got it.
And at least in the canon of the show, Seth MacFarlane is actually responsible for saving the show from cancellation through the power of cutaways. I guess if you want Seth to show up in your show, he's either gotta sing or you gotta kiss his feet real hard.
Robot Chicken. I haven't heard that name since it got renewed.
Robot Chicken's renewed.
And next up is an adult animated show that, like The Simpsons, kinda paved the way for Family Guy when you think about it, King of the Hill.
Propane.
Fox's show about parroting both traditionalism and the ever-changing world has gotten quite a few nods from Family Guy over the years, even getting the creator of the show and voice of Hank Hill, Mike Judge, to lend his voice acting services to these appearances.
Damn it. I always wake up before I find out if they can understand the baby.
Don't worry, Hank, no one really knows. But we've got our top scientists on the case to try and solve this lifelong mystery. It's kind of funny that there's no real rivalry between King of the Hill and Family Guy. Just two co-workers with mutual respect for one another.
Yep.
But maybe with King of the Hill's recent revival on Hulu, there's a chance that we'll finally get to see a full-fledged crossover in the future. Not really sure how that would work since the Family Guy cast look like monsters compared to the King of the Hill cast, but I'm sure they can figure something out.
Hey, sorry about that.
Well, looks like Lois is plenty threatened by that new girl who moved in, I tell you what.
But before there was King of the Hill, there was Mike Judge's other adult animated series for MTV, Beavis and Butthead, and it took way longer for them to show up than it should have.
That was cool.
Wood! You're right. Wood!
The series about two juvenile delinquents was a huge cultural centerpiece of the mid-90s, perfectly tied into its home on MTV as part of the show revolved around them commenting on music videos. Well, that MTV is dead in a ditch somewhere, so I guess it makes sense why it took 18 seasons before the pair finally showed up in Family Guy. But now the show's been revived, it's almost time for a whole new generation of kids to learn about the most annoying vocal stems of all time.
Ow!
The kids probably won't be learning much from South Park's appearances on Family Guy, given that there's only been one physical representation of a character in the opening credits for Season 16's V is for Mystery. And that's really it. The corpse of Kenny is the only character from South Park that ever makes a physical appearance on the show. I guess things still seem a bit uneasy between the two shows. Family Guy doesn't seem to mind them, but I don't think the creators of South Park would pee on the show if it were on fire.
Family Guy has survived 19 cancellations, 2 assassination attempts, and a pretty good ribbon by those South Park guys.
And as you would probably expect, the only time Family Guy got referenced in South Park was to get brutally roasted about the show's style and writing. Just smile through the tears, Seth. Don't let them see you seething.
You think that's bad? Remember when I auditioned to be David Hasselhoff's car?
In actuality, Seth MacFarlane thought the parody was pretty funny, even giving it a shout out during his commencement speech at Harvard. So hopefully these digs are all in good fun and no actual manatees are harmed in the making of either show. But we obviously can't talk about adult animated shows appearing on Family Guy without talking about the one that really kicked things off for the modern era, The Simpsons.
Hey, Stewie. Who the hell is that?
Well, that's the guy that Family Guy spent its entire existence being compared to. Obviously, these two shows aren't exactly alike. One guy's yellow and one isn't. Kind of a hard thing to miss. But the shows would spend much of their formative years taking digs at one another.
We don't want you in our town, Simpson. We don't love you like we did in 1993. Go!
The Simpsons would jokingly accuse Family Guy of plagiarism, so Family Guy would have the entire Simpsons family killed by Quagmire. Just some friendly jabs and a totally rational response, but eventually the shows are able to put aside their differences and be jovial towards one another, with Family Guy even leaning into the jokes at times. Yeah, once you reach syndication status, you kinda run out of any Fs to give.
Well, at least they're a jury of our peers.
I don't think they see it that way, Peter.
This would, of course, eventually lead to Season 13's The Simpsons Guy, a crossover that everyone was clamoring for decades. It was, and still is, Family Guy's only full-fledged cameo episode, and outside of American Dad, it's probably the only crossover that really felt warranted.
Thank you for not being a band of hippie murderers.
And now this again. You bring home 2 bands of hippie murderers.
Well, the hippie part definitely isn't an apt descriptor. The murderers part, well, it's kind of one of those things that actually sets Family Guy apart from The Simpsons. And now that there's no bad blood between the two, Homer and the rest of the cast periodically pop up every now and then, both committed to doing their song and dance for their new mouse overlord.
Damn it! Where am I gonna get another coach?
I'm on vacation!
Okay, so when we say committed, we mean committed in the sense that they'll show up so long as they get paid time off.
I broke television, and now you have to help me fix it!
Yeah, looks like this is one we beat you to.
But let's look on the other side of the fence to see how The Simpsons handled referencing Family Guy on their own show. Like we said earlier, most of the references targeted the sentiment that Family Guy borrowed a lot from them, especially with the characters of Homer and Peter. They even threw a little shade at American Dad, too, which is ironic considering that the show might actually be the most original out of all 3 of them. But just like Family Guy, the jabs started to become a little more friendly. When you've been on for 37 seasons, sometimes you just have to let bygones be bygones. You must break bread with your enemy and let them sit on your iconic couch.
I was the It Boy in 2006.
But the inspirations of Family Guy date back even further, and the show's paid tribute to one of America's original animated families, the Flintstones.
Wait a minute, there's nothing funny about an addiction.
That's right, they made a cartoon about the Fruity Pebbles and Vitamin Gummy guys. Long before Family Guy or even The Simpsons made their names known, it was the Flintstones critiquing the family dynamic, and the show loves paying homage to the OG that came before them.
Running from the cops? Yabba dabba don't.
You know, just in the show's own dark, edgy kind of way. Look, these guys were advertising cigarettes back then. I think we can treat them a little more like adults.
He smells like Fred Flintstone's ass.
Hey! No one's asking you to smell it.
But it's clear that Seth MacFarlane's love for the show runs deep. After all, he did get his start at Hanna-Barbera, which created the Flintstones, and he even tried to get a reboot off the ground that never ended up seeing the light of day. Wonder if it would be all dark and serious like that one comic. Though I don't really need a caveman making me more depressed. I'm perfectly capable of achieving that on my own, thank you very much. But Seth has remembered to make sure everyone knows that there'd be no Family Guy without the Flintstones.
Neither of these beers is wholly original. They're both pale imitations of my favorite beer, Bud Rock.
But it's not the only Hanna-Barbera animated classic from around the same era that's also referenced a bunch in the show, as we see plenty of the family coming all the way from the far future, the Jetsons.
You are not taking my whole wallet so you can go shopping.
I was just gonna buy some groceries.
Bull.
Just out of curiosity, we looked it up and apparently the Jetsons takes place in the year 2062. We've really got to get our crap together if we want the future looking like that. And just like Family Guy always does with taking classic family archetypes and flipping them on their heads, the show does the same with the Jetsons, taking a well-meaning family and making things a little darker.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jane is sorry. I could have been killed.
It's yet another cornerstone of Hanna-Barbera's animated library, though one maybe not as fondly remembered as the Flintstones. Should have gotten into the cereal and/or vitamin game when you had the chance.
Only Mr. Spacely can fire me. Griffin, you're fired! Okay, that's fair.
But perhaps the most famous Hanna-Barbera cartoon of all time is Scooby-Doo, which does make several appearances on Family Guy when it's not being referenced.
You're right, Scoob. We're dealing with one sick son of a b****.
That's actually Frank Welker, by the way, who's been voicing the character of Fred since the 60s. Not sure why they couldn't bring in the dog that voices Scooby, but I guess we can't have everything we want. Still, it's pretty cool that he doesn't mind coming back to voice the character in not the most family-friendly of environments.
We do not walk away.
I'll get you started.
And even when the characters aren't being shown, some of the sound effects even manage to find their way in because they're just so dang iconic. This show really knew how to hit the nostalgia buttons for fans. If you've never revved up your legs in place before running off, you're really missing out.
Swamp monster!
And another iconic member of the Hanna-Barbera family is Yogi Bear, who Peter greets just like any responsible knife owner would.
Tell the other bears what you just saw.
Look, he had it coming after all those years of stealing picnic baskets, but whatever happened to due process? Does a bear in a silly little hat not have access to the rights you and I have? When God sings with his creations, will a bear not be part of the choir? I'm not exactly sure where I was going with this, but rest in peace Yogi nonetheless. But another animal to earn his own show and following is the Pink Panther, a figure which has become a bit of a minor icon through movies, cartoons, and Owens Corning fiberglass insulation?
Well, it seems his lungs are completely filled with Owens Corning fiberglass insulation.
Yeah, so this cat went from being in the opening credits of a movie he doesn't even appear in, to an animated cartoon where he's the main character, to being the mascot for a pink-colored insulation foam. That's quite the journey, and even though he may not mean a thing to anyone born after 2000, he appears to be iconic enough that the shows mention him from time to time.
Hey, how you doing? First day being pink?
Yeah.
Welcome to hell.
And up next is the immortal work of Peanuts, the originator of Charlie Brown and unseen grown-ups talking like they have a mouthful of cement.
I got $600.
I got $850.
I got a rock.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a more wholesome, timeless cartoon than the Charlie Brown specials, which means they make for the perfect source for when the show's looking to ruin your childhood.
Everybody wish Snoopy and Woodstock was here. Well, they're dead. And guess what? I sold Snoopy the junk.
Another veteran who never got the proper care after it was time to stop flying the planes. You hate to see it. But looking at all these references in the show really does put into perspective how influential and endearing Peanuts is. And Family Guy sure does enjoy reminiscing and saying what we were all thinking, from finally giving Lucy her comeuppance.
Okay, that is the last time you were gonna pull that crap. You hear me?
Yes!
To speculating on just how close Peppermint Patty and Marcy were.
The years have been great to you.
Well, I owe that to my better half. Who is it, sir?
And of course, we can't forget about the lovable Snoopy. We think it's pretty safe to say Brian's design may have borrowed a little inspiration from the iconic dog. It's like looking into a future where Snoopy couldn't put down the dry martinis.
Yep, with a capital C.
Peanuts really seems like one of those things that's going to be around forever, so the show will probably never run out of material to pull from. Heck, Family Guy's even tried to worm its way into the series before by having Brian and Stewie audition for their movie. I guess the Peanuts gang isn't too familiar with how to run background checks. And another absolutely iconic piece of timeless entertainment comes from the Muppets, the puppet products of Jim Henson that were doing interspecies relationships even before Family Guy.
I don't think Kermie Jr. is doing so well.
Kill me! I'm in constant pain!
See, Brian? This is the future you're walking into if you don't marry someone of your own species. But the Muppets represent a timeless era where walking, talking puppets were considered normal guests on talk shows and whatnot. Can't do that nowadays because people will just respond with "Grok, is this real?" Use your eyes, you heathens!
Kermit the Frog?
Somebody talked! No one is safe! I'm getting out of here! Yay!
And between the Muppets and the Sesame Street crew, there are a ton of characters to pull from and reference, from the Count,
2 nipples! 3 nipples! Oh, hell no, I'm out of here.
to the Cookie Monster,
Come on! Go away!
to Statler and Waldorf, who are essentially the embodiment of us, just not sitting around judging Family Guy episodes all day.
The president's been shot!
If you ask me, the president's the lucky one. How's that? He doesn't have to sit through the rest of the show.
But they don't just pull references from the characters, as one Family Guy character in particular has even taken on the replacement role of one of the Muppets before.
Agreed, Peter.
Oh yeah, totally agreed. Definitely understood that one. But it's impossible to deny how influential these puppets are, as they've been able to capture the hearts of both the young and the old. Hey, just like Family Guy. Well, maybe corrupted is the more apt word.
Baker, when you're done talking to your friend, I want to talk to you about that thing.
But an equally iconic ensemble can be found inside the animated works of Looney Tunes, which Family Guy has found a way to casually parody or sometimes straight up murder.
Look at that boy, running all around like a chicken with its head cut. Wait a minute.
At this point, it's kind of a badge of honor to be brutally killed on the show. Someday, I hope I get the same opportunity. But like the Muppets, Looney Tunes has a huge cast of iconic characters the show can pull parodies from, including icons like Bugs Bunny.
What's up, Doc?
Yosemite Sam.
These are the tightest, compressingest, killingest, grippingest jeans I ever tried on!
And of course, the Tasmanian Devil, who's actually way more of a Tasmanian angel if this cutaway's any indication. And also like the Muppets, the Looney Tunes just kind of seem like one of those things that'll never truly die. Trust me, I've spent a lot of money on a hitman, and nothing seems to be doing the trick. So we'll probably continue to see more and more references to those wacky cartoon characters until Hollywood decides rebooting shows is a thing of the past. And another representative from the golden age of animation that makes an appearance on the show comes from the cat and mouse frenemies, Tom and Jerry. Well, Tom is the only one who shows up, but that's just because he finally figured out how to win.
So that's it? That's it? This is so much easier. I don't know why I didn't do this years ago.
After all those battles with Jerry, I'd have to assume Tom is a little concussed, so I believe that's probably why he didn't think of this idea sooner. It's pretty clear the show's been on Tom's side for years now. After all, Stewie did kick Jerry out of that little dance number from Road to Rupert. Did he really think he could steal all that cheese and there wouldn't be consequences?
Mr. Kelly, will you show us? Let's do it!
And another blast from the past that occasionally shows up in the show is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which is proof that no amount of muscles can fix a whack haircut. Do you think He-Man and Will Byers ask for the same number at the barber's?
Hey there, Adam.
Hello, Henry. I have the power!
Pretty neat that the original voice actor for He-Man, John Irwin, returned to voice this one-off joke. But while He-Man is obviously the most iconic and well-known member of the Masters of the Universe, Family Guy has shown how much they know ball by throwing in some lesser-known characters as well.
Ace and his whole gang. Beastman, Merman, and for some reason, Norm from Cheers.
By the power of Cheers Beacon Hill, Norm is the most dangerous one. Don't remember a lot of kids having Norm toys, though. And another piece of 90s childhood would occasionally be referenced in the show through Clifford the Big Red Dog, though not in the cute and cuddly way you might remember him.
Jess is having me put down? Oh my god, this can't be happening!
Did you also eat a kid?
Well, it was bound to happen at some point. You don't have a dog as big as a dinosaur without it realizing it can eat anything smaller than it. Good luck euthanizing that. Forget the needle and just go straight to the nuclear warhead. But Family Guy doesn't stop at ruining our childhood there, as the show features the characters from the whimsical world of Winnie the Pooh, although without much of the whimsy.
Perhaps you should push with your shoulder and not your fist?
Don't worry about it.
I'm not saying what's happening there is just, but maybe this will teach that bear to finally put some pants on. Not everybody needs to see his 100-acre woods. Now that I think about it, most references to the cartoon in this show all revolve around butt-related issues. Weird.
Why are you always in such a bad mood?
I have a nail in my anus.
And there are also plenty of non-animated cameos worth mentioning, as many actors have come onto the show in order to portray characters they play on other shows. And one of the best examples is none other than Dr. Gregory House, renowned diagnostician and dopehead who appears frequently throughout the Season 8 episode Business Guy.
My methods are a little unorthodox, Mr. Griffin, but I think I can help.
What are you doing?
My job.
Always gotta check if someone's faking a coma before you continue treatment. You have no idea how many people do that just to get some peace and quiet. And a feeding tube shoved down their throats, the sickos.
House.
Roadhouse.
That too.
But what's extra special about this cameo is that the actor who portrays Dr. House, Hugh Laurie, actually lends his voice to the character in this appearance. That's the sign of a good cameo, where going through with it doesn't absolutely kill your credibility and career.
My superiors think I'm crazy. Scared you, didn't I?
And some of the guys from the show How I Met Your Mother decided to lend their voices to their characters in Peter's Progress, including Neil Patrick Harris, Jason Segel, and Josh Radnor.
Broke the bro code. That's not against the bro code.
Yes, it is. Article 15B. That's the heart of the bro code, man.
No wonder it took 100 seasons for him to meet the mother. It feels like you have to get approval from the Bro Code Congress before you can even talk to a woman. But King Stewie isn't all that impressed by the wacky adventures of Marshall Erickson, Barney Stinson, and Ted Mosby, so he decides to just remove them from his watch list.
Are you sure you want to delete this program?
Yes.
And with how often English actor Patrick Stewart has appeared in Seth MacFarlane's work, it's probably no surprise that he would convince him to come on and reprise his Star Trek role as Captain Jean-Luc Picard at least once.
If I whispered in your ear that Commander Worf's head looks like a fanny, would you join me in a laugh?
Good to know grade school humor still hits light years away from Earth. Looks like broadcasting all our videos into space wasn't a bad idea after all. I just know there's an alien out there somewhere having a sensible chuckle.
You can both suck my ridges.
Oh, get a sense of humor, Rocky Dennis.
And it's also worth noting that actors Michael Dorn, Jonathan Frakes, and Marina Sirtis also briefly reprised their Star Trek roles on this cutaway. Sorry, you have to at least be at the rank of captain in order to get your own section in this video, though. Can't be giving free shoutouts to anyone. And when you need bad news delivered to you in the most aggravating, passive way possible, you call on Bill Lumbergh from the movie Office Space.
If you could go ahead and sit at the kids' table, that'd be great.
The original actor, Gary Cole, reprises his role from that film, but sharp-eared viewers may recognize his voice throughout the rest of the series. That's because Cole also provides the voice for Principal John Shepard. Hence why we're including a movie in a video about TV show crossovers. Just roll with it. A pathetic role like that is more than enough punishment for making Peter Gibbons work on the weekends.
And it's just first name Shepard now that you've had me fired and I have no income.
And this wasn't the only Gary Cole character reprisal in the show either, as he also lent his voice to appearances by Mike Brady, the patriarch of the Brady Bunch.
Don't talk to me that way!
Alice, what did you see?
So high-strung for a guy with a dozen children. I thought having kids was supposed to fix all of our problems. Well, we can definitely see where the show borrowed its family values from, though I don't remember the Brady Bunch being this counterculture.
Here's what you used to see.
Good night, Mike.
Good night, Carol.
And here's the stuff you missed.
And despite often being used as a punching bag for the show, Jim Parsons and Johnny Galecki were more than happy to reprise their roles when the show would bring up the Big Bang Theory.
I can bench press over 690 billion nanograms.
Sheldon, that's less than 2 pounds.
This is too smart for my underdeveloped mollusk mind, but I'm sure other people find it funny. Characters like Sheldon Cooper were becoming household names around the time of this episode airing, so it makes sense why the show would maybe want to hop on the Big Bang train. That sounds like something else now that I've said it out loud.
You want to come to my Big Bang viewing party next week?
Daddy, you don't have to do that anymore.
I know. I like it now.
And the show had another cameo from a series wholly ingrained in nerd culture, calling on Scottish actor David Tennant to reprise his role as the 10th Doctor on Doctor Who.
We can't go into the time machine right now.
But they're going to kill us all!
All right, just 1 second.
Because when Family Guy calls you up for a parody called Doctor Who Farted, you cancel all your plans and make sure you're there for this role. And while you don't physically see him, we do get to hear the voice of Rainn Wilson reprising his iconic role as Dwight Schrute from the American sitcom The Office.
I know my staplers, by sound and by weight. And that stapler, good sir, is a Schrute.
We can't see it, but you just know Jim's giving a smug look to the camera. Keep smiling, buddy. We all know you are the real villain of the show. And in one particular cutaway, Stewie would be saved by the actor from Saved by the Bell, Mark Paul Gosselaar, who portrayed Zach Morris on the show.
You actually are taking drugs? Stewie, give me those. I can't, Zach. I need them to sing.
I'm sure there's some hidden double meaning to Stewie being saved by the inspiration for his Zach Sawyer character. It's so hidden that I'm struggling to actually believe it's real. Oh well, not everything has to be deep. Sometimes the curtains are just blue, and caffeine pills make you a better singer for some reason.
Screech is going to stab someone on Christmas.
And someone who has a surprisingly long list of voice roles is Bryan Cranston, but he decided to reprise one of his most famous live-action roles for the Season 4 episode I Take Thee Quagmire.
Kids, we're free. We're finally free.
And that would be his fatherly role as Hal Wilkerson from the sitcom Malcolm in the Middle. Though that swing with the freezer door felt way more up Walter White's alley. The show never got him to return to voice that role, but they did give him a job as one of Peter's most forgettable bosses. So that's equally as cool, I guess.
Attention everyone, do not adjust your TV sets, we are an interracial couple.
And you would think the show would get A-list actors for bigger roles, but they actually seemed pretty content with using Johnny Depp for a brief reprisal of the titular character from Edward Scissorhands.
I'm an excellent night nurse, so you two get some much-deserved sleep and don't worry about a thing.
It's a real blink and you'll miss it cameo, one that you probably wouldn't even assume they would get Depp for, but yep, that's him. And really, the parents can't be too mad at him for what happens next. The guy has blades on his hands. What, was Edward choking hazard hands unavailable?
Your precious little baby will be smiling as bright as the sun. It's dead.
Now let's take a look at some more shows that Family Guy has appeared in. There might even be a few that surprise you. Let's first start with a lesser-known HBO show called Animals, which features a cameo in the Season 2 episode Pigeons.
Holy sh**, Lois freaking Griffin! Oh, you're so freaking hot!
So Lois appears during a young pigeon's spiritual journey as a princess he ends up saving. But before he can seal the deal with a kiss, he's dragged out of his imagination. And if you're confused by all this, don't worry. Lois doesn't even fully understand what's going on here.
Where the am I? This is his imagination? Should I take my shirt off?
Man, how do you fumble a woman in your own imagination? I don't know that kid Pigeon well enough, but it might just be over for him. And in the police procedural drama Bones, Stewie ends up appearing in the real world to harass Special Agent Seeley Booth about having a kid in the Season 4 episode The Critic and the Cabernet.
Why are you here at the bank, Booth? You've got a hot doctor friend. Go to her and make a direct deposit like a man.
You know what? I don't even need any more context for this scene. Stewie appearing to you like the ghost of Christmas present only to bully you into putting a baby into your friend is just absurd enough that context might just make it worse.
You're going to abandon your child? Oh, night's deepest gloom washes over my tiny frame.
But at the end of the episode, it turns out that he's seeing Stewie because he has a brain tumor. Incredibly funny stuff. Maybe Family Guy never really existed. Maybe we're all just going through a collective psychosis brought on by a bunch of tumors. Well, there are worse ways to live, I suppose.
I'm a tumor, I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor, I'm a tumor, I'm a tumor.
Also, fun Bones-related fact, the live-action scenes featuring Seth MacFarlane's dad in Road to the North Pole were apparently shot on the set of Bones. But maybe that's BS, because I don't remember seeing a single bone in any of those shots.
Anyway, Seth came out of my and now he made this.
And even though we wondered if there would ever be a full Family Guy crossover with Border Town, there was actually one time Peter Griffin rolled up onto the show.
Yep, wrong show.
Yeah, good call, Peter. The less time you need to spend looking at this eyesore of a show, the better. It might seem like such a random cameo, but this show was actually executive produced by Seth MacFarlane and his Fuzzy Door Productions studio, as well as being created by Family Guy writer Mark Henteman. It lasted one season and was promptly forgotten, just like every other show created in reaction to the current state of the world. Remember that show Space Force? Exactly. But it's no real surprise that Family Guy would find itself right at home within another raunchy adult animated show, Drawn Together.
Why'd you give him money? You know he's just gonna spend it on lemonade.
Okay, I guess that could have been anybody. Those clothes were the style of the mid-2000s. So yeah, even though it never shows their faces, it's very obvious that it was Peter and Lois walking by. They even got Alex Borstein to voice that mystery lady in teal. It's too bad we didn't get more of them in the episode, but honestly, they probably would have had a run for their money trying to match the freak of this psycho show.
I don't care, I'm telling you to step away, or the gets it!
And in another example of Family Guy characters cameoing in shows without really cameoing, we have the adult animated slacker comedy Good Vibes giving us a character that kinda looks somewhat familiar.
Oh, she's way hotter than my date.
That guy in pink sure does look like a face we've seen before, I just can't put my finger on it. Okay, yeah, the episode Red Tuxedo gives us a very clear reference to Meg Griffin with that character. Now you may think this is just some random cameo, but it's actually because Meg's voice actor, Mila Kunis, appears in the episode as well, voicing herself. See, even Meg doesn't like Meg.
Oops, sorry, sir.
And Family Guy would sometimes find its way into cartoons that actually aren't meant for adults, like with the television show Mad, inspired by the popular Mad magazine.
That would be more stupid than the time Jonah Hill tried to eat a plane.
So that's what that looks like.
But if we're being honest, Mad was always meant for the kids with a more adult-centric sense of humor. Well, I mean, it was a lot of fart humor too, but you shouldn't have to hide your love for fart humor as you get older, I say.
So long, evil monkey. You'll have more room in here than in my closet. Okay, I'm going.
Honestly, the two shows have a lot in common. Both rely on a ton of references and parodies, and if your parents caught you watching it while you were younger, they thought you were practically pouring bleach directly onto your brain.
That's why I say let the past stay where it is. Always come up with something original.
And Family Guy would once again break from the confines of 2D animation to harass the 3D world when Peter and Stewie appeared on an episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live.
We're about to celebrate our 300th episode on another network. That's right, I'm not afraid to say it. Another network.
This happened back in 2018 when the show hit the huge milestone of 300 episodes, and it led to some good-natured ball-busting between the comedian and the cartoon characters. So it's this Jimmy that Peter likes, it's Jimmy Fallon who tried to sleep with his daughter. I honestly get the two confused sometimes. There might be too many Jimmys. Go buy Jim already and be an adult.
I thought you didn't understand the baby.
Oh, look who saw the pilot.
I actually wouldn't doubt that Kimmel's been watching the show for quite a while. After all, he did voice Death's dog in Mr. Saturday Night. That means he's got Family Guy tenure, which you can't save up for retirement with, but I do think you get a cool mug. Pass that down to your children.
Peter Griffin and Stewie Griffin from the Family Guy.
Family Guy.
And Family Guy would find its way into the award show scene on occasion, like when they had Stewie crash the 20th annual MTV Video Music Awards. Well, I didn't originally think Stewie might have been one of the guys who shot 50 Cent 9 times, but now I'm starting to have thoughts. So Stewie was basically invited to the show to do some roasting, particularly with the lyricism in 50 Cent's raps.
Now you listen to me, Mr. Cent. You want to make it in this business? Lay off the doobie!
Wise words to live by, but if you have a literal baby shouting that at you, it might be time to really reevaluate your life choices. And Stewie would make a few more award appearances when their sworn enemies, the Primetime Emmy Awards, went live, first bringing Brian along for an appearance and musical number.
Seems to me that nearly all television these days is complete trash.
Yes, quite right.
Still a little sore about the Emmy thing, I see. Well, roasting all the winners will probably do well to get them into the show's good graces. But the two make for an entertaining opening, retooling the tune from the FCC song into a playful smackdown of many of the nominees. And years later, Stewie would return for a short skit involving the characters of Modern Family adopting him.
Well, I'm game, but I don't know what world you're living in that you think two gay guys can adopt a white baby.
Oh, Stewie, you're just the little razor found in a nice sweet candied apple. I'm not sure if you can do a full return on a whole child, but I hope they kept the receipts.
Must be nice to finally be on a show that you can mention at dinner parties and not have people cringe.
But what was your favorite Family Guy crossover? Be sure to let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more.